With John Barry. Thanks for coming aboard to this, the first meeting between these two teams since that memorable playoff series and that Game 7 last spring. JB, the Raptors have gotten off to a franchise-best 19-6 start. The guy who's a catalyst for them at both ends is Kyle Lowry.
Well, isn't this what we all expected about a third of the way through the season? That it'd be Toronto, Washington, and Atlanta leading the East?
Really?
Well, a big reason. Yes, everybody, it is Toronto because Kyle Lowry. DeMar DeRozan, their leading scorer, been out the last 9 games.
Welcome to Fifth Third Arena, and welcome to Holiday Hoops, presented by Kay Jewelers. Just about set to go between number 19 San Diego State and the Bearcats of Cincinnati. Again, everyone, Bob Wischusen, Dan Dockich, thanks for spending part of your night with us. Could be a war on the floor between these two teams. Entertaining game, we're expecting that, and also it accentuates, before the conference season arrives, how important a game like this can be for both teams, especially Cincinnati.
No question. San Diego State has played a variety of good teams. They went to Maui. Now Cincinnati has not. This may be the only ranked team that Cincinnati plays all year.
Let's take a look at our HP starting lineups, and we'll begin with the Aztecs and the freshman Trey Kell off to a good start at point guard, trying to fill the very large vacancy left behind by Xavier Thames. And for the Bearcats, they've got Troy Copain starting at point guard. He'll go up against Kell. He's only a sophomore, averaging just under 10 points per game, and just under 10 points per game. That's good enough to lead Cincinnati in scoring.
Only one guy in this game is averaging 10 points a game. That's it. Only one.
San Diego State on the road again, starting off the season 19th. At 7-2 overall, and Dan mentioned it, wins over teams like Utah, BYU, and Pitt. For Cincinnati, off to a 6-2 start, but they've lost 2 of their last 3. Ole Miss and Nebraska, the 2 teams that got them. And in and out to start the game, Dwayne Polee, and it goes over to Cincinnati. There's Mick Cronin in his 9th year, his 9th season replacing Bob Huggins here at Cincinnati. Doesn't seem like that long ago that Huggy Bear was over on the Bearcat sideline.
Honest to goodness, I was talking to Mo Egger today, radio guy. He said March will be the 10-year anniversary of Huggins being gone. I cannot believe it.
Time flies. Turnover by the Bearcats. These are 2 terrific defensive teams. And there's another excellent head coach, obviously, Steve Fisher, arguably on the
He is a Hall of Famer. He's won a national championship. Look, if you live on the Northeast, you win a national championship in a few games, it's like you're automatically in the Hall of Fame. Steve Fisher, the job he has done at San Diego State is absolutely amazing. We'll get into it more as the game goes on, but that guy has been fantastic.
We trade turnovers. Copain with the left hand. Can't get the Bearcats on the board. Octavius Ellis tied up. Possession arrow keeps it with UC.
Bobby, you and I do a lot of games together throughout the course of the season, and one of the things that I talk about is poor transition defense in college basketball. These 2 teams are as good as it gets in college hoops for one simple reason. They sprint back and they protect the basket first, and if you're going to beat them, you're going to beat them with a jump shot.
How hard is it to get today's player to play that way in college basketball?
You know, it's amazing because kids want to run, but they want to run towards offense. You know, offense is downhill, defense is uphill.
Gary Clark off the window, and that gets things started.
He's really good, Bob. Among the freshman leaders in rebounding in the country. He's a kid you can go on the block, has a nice touch, 8 points, 8 rebounds a game as a freshman.
Shot clock under 10. That should be a regularity tonight. Another regularity might be turnovers as Polee took steps. And talking to Steve Fisher earlier today, asking him what can't happen tonight. He said offensive rebounds and turnovers, if either of those numbers hits 20, for Cincinnati, we're going to be in some trouble because that's how they operate.
No question about it. Cincinnati wants to turn you over, and they would like to put that as their main offense, turn you over and go get a bucket, turnovers for touchdowns. Now, from Cincinnati, in listening to their coaches, the guards have to rebound. Defensively, you're going to play how you play, but guards have to get a rebound.
Kevin Johnson goes back door, gets trapped under the basket. Shaq Thomas hands it off to Clark. 7 to shoot. Copain, 3 to shoot. Has to hoist up a triple. I missed everything. That's a shot clock violation.
Bobby, 3 things defensively. Number 1, the denial of the ball, particularly late against Copain, took him about 6 feet out of where he wanted to go. Number 2, Shaq Thomas made a dribble, and everybody in the crowd went, ooh and ah, except he didn't get away from his defender. And the third thing was there were 3 deflections on that possession. Terrific defense, San Diego State. Bobby, this is an odd defense. This is a zone with man-to-man switching principles, and to this point, San Diego State has not been able to figure out whether to run their zone offense or their man offense.
Shot clock at 7. Spencer inside. Gets San Diego State on the board. All right, John, thanks very much, and welcome to Fifth Third Arena. We are underway. Holiday Hoops presented by Kay Jewelers off to a rollicking start. Octavius Ellis throws one down for the Bearcats. They've got the 4-2 lead. Poli leans in. Blocking foul is called. Count the bucket. A chance for an old-fashioned three-point play for Dwayne Poli as you are watching the American Conference here on ESPN, all part of Holiday Hoops, presented by Kay Jewelers, Bob Wischusen, Dan Dockich. And this is going to be a war on the floor tonight between these two teams. San Diego State and Cincinnati, 2 of the best defensive teams in America.
Bobby, we're at 4 points, 3.5 minutes. That's high scoring for these 2 teams. That's a great play by Poli. Poli with a shot fake because he showed the basketball and then he was tough enough to finish around the rim.
An early injury report. Troy Copain heads to the locker room for Cincinnati. He checked out of the game, and now the trainers are taking a look at him, so we'll try to find out why Troy Copain left. Farad Cobb has come on now to run the point for Cincinnati. It goes over to San Diego State. Dan, you're right. This might be, just turn the clocks off, first team to 50 wins, because these are 2 teams that lock you up. And this is Troy Copain running back to the locker room a moment ago. Not sure why.
Looked like a bathroom break if you want me to speculate.
Please do.
Most famous bathroom break in NCAA history was Bobby Hurley in Denver in the national championship game against UNLV.
I didn't know there was a list. Shot clock down to 6. Spinning on the baseline and laying it up and in is Winston Shepard.
Wow, Winston Shepard went right shoulder away from the defense, and that's as quick a spin as you're going to see. Hey, if you don't know if it's man-to-man or zone, just throw the ball inside.
Cobb rolls one to Clark. That won't go off the glass. Saved nicely by J.J. O'Brien.
Clark got fouled. I can't see very well, but I can definitely hear.
Trey Kell throws up an air ball. O'Brien has his pass deflected out by Kevin Johnson. We'll step aside for just a moment. Early 2-point lead for the Aztecs. 2 teams in the top 14 in America in opponents' points allowed, and 2 teams that really can't score at times themselves. This might be not only first team to 50, it might be first team to 40 gets it done tonight.
Bobby, we're looking at defensive efficiency. Average is about 98 points per 100 possessions. Right now, think about how good Kentucky is. They're giving up 71 points. Last year, Louisville led the country in. It was 87. That's how good Kentucky's been.
The Arizona transfer, Angelo Chol, who had to sit out last season after coming over from the Wildcats, leans in and makes it an 8-4 Aztec lead.
Again, same thing, left block. They found a weakness in Cincinnati's defense. San Diego State has. Go to left block and go to work.
Kevin Johnson, line drive, rattles home.
Boy, a rare defensive mistake. Kevin Johnson took advantage of it, used the shot fake, and got a bucket. You normally will not see either of these teams jumping for shot fakes, going for ball fakes. Pretty solid staying in the stance.
Shepard from the corner, air ball, weak side. It falls right in the hands of J.J. O'Brien. So a chance for the recently returned Akil Quinn. He couldn't hit, and back comes Cobb the other way.
Bobby, two guys back. Shirkley was back. He was protecting the rim, and the ball was stopped by Quinn.
Akil Quinn called for the foul. Akil Quinn's been out the last 3 games. He injured his left hand against Arizona and had surgery a couple of weeks ago, just able to get back in the lineup for the first time since that game tonight.
And you can see his left hand is heavily bandaged. It's wrapped, it's padded, a couple fingers put together. Be interesting to see him handling the ball with that left hand.
Octavius Ellis forces one up, and traveling is called.
There's just going to be somebody there. Both teams, you're just not going to be able to take the ball, put your head down, and get to the rim. You're going to put your head down and try to get to the rim. You're going to have to be able to play out of a double team.
Coriante DeBerry comes on for the first time for Cincinnati. And now the Bearcats pick up a little pressure. And it just about works. O'Brien might have shuffled his feet and gotten away with one in the backcourt. Instead, Shrigley, after the extra pass, sets him up in the corner, knocks down the 3.
Well, you can see against pressure, they're going to take Shirkley and run him to the corner, and Winston at the elbow, and he found him. Pretty good coaching. Not surprised by Steve Fisher getting his best shooter in the corner against pressure.
The leading scorer for Cincinnati still out of the game, Troy Copain, the sophomore point guard. Farad Cobb is running the point for the Bearcats. And now a turnover and a foul. So Clark called for the personal. And Mick Cronin goes to his bench.
You know, against the press, whatever happens here, fans didn't like it, thought it was a travel, but as the ball goes down the floor, a little reversal, get the guy in the corner, knock it in. Trust me, it happened.
2 fouls already on Gary Clark, puts him on the bench, and the lead extends. J.J. O'Brien makes it 13-6 San Diego State.
Oh, that was nice, Bob. Just a high-low. J.J. O'Brien with a terrific cut. Ball right where you need it.
Deshaun Mormon just checked into the game and hit the side of the backboard.
You know, that's 2 times that a guy has just checked in. You mentioned Mormon there and taking a shot. Cobb did the same thing, and neither came close. You know, you kind of got to go up and down once or twice unless you're just a flat scorer.
Off balance, awkward-looking shot for Coriante DeBerry, but down it goes.
DeBerry kept his chin on the rim, Bob, which we know is very important when making shots while drawing contact.
How many shots tonight will be somewhere in the neighborhood of the paint and not involve some contact with these 2 teams?
None.
Shrigley again. That one a little too strong. O'Brien taps it out of bounds in the corner, so it goes over to the Bearcats. 13-8 San Diego State early on here in Cincinnati. More than 10.2 points per game, which means Winston Shepard, the 784th leading scorer in college basketball, is the leading scorer on average in this game.
Well, I will say this about Troy Copain. Even though he's not averaging 10, and I'm going to brag about this for a long time, the Big O came up to me, Oscar Robertson, and we were talking. And that's a thrill of a lifetime, by the way, but he really loves Troy Copain. He thinks he's going to be a big-time scorer by the time he's done. That's good enough for me.
And in a way, it just illustrates how these are two programs that play the way they play and get the job done the way they get the job done.
No question about it. Wow.
Oriante DeBerry with his second field goal, already just about doubling up his average per game.
Boy, he looked comfortable down there. I mean, he's a guy that, as you said, he's doubling up his average, but man, get him the ball. You know, and both coaches did it different ways, Bobby. I think that, you know, Mick Cronin had a really, really tough task in here. You know, Andy Kennedy had it for a year, and then they brought in Mick.
He comes up short.
There are people in Cincinnati that still wish Bob Huggins was the coach. I mean, and all Mick Cronin has done is not only win, but win really in the same way that Bob Huggins established it, with toughness, with teamwork, and with under-publicized guys.
Cobb from deep. No good. And the long rebound ends up with Shrigley. Having said that, though, he hasn't won the way Bob Huggins won. This has not been a Final Four team here at Cincinnati with Mick Cronin. But are the expectations for Cincinnati realistic if that's where you think they ought to be?
Well,
and you're a Bearcat fan?
Bob went to one Final Four. He went in 1992. You know, and he established this program as being one of the better programs in the country. But now all of a sudden you've got an arms race going on in college basketball. The Shoemaker Center, which is a really nice arena, is way behind what others are doing. And then you're talking about, where are they? What league are they in? You know, I mean, they've been in Big East. Now they're here. I mean, they've been in a ton of different leagues. So there's an instability there that maybe precludes having the kind of success. But hey, they won the American last year, tied with Louisville. That's pretty good by me.
Knocked out of bounds with 5 to shoot. We were talking about that at shoot-around today, that if you took a look up at the wall of banners here at Fifth Third, every other banner's got a different name of a different conference on it, going back to the 20s for Cincinnati, as Kell has to force one up.
And I'm betting they hope there's one more league in their future, the Big 12, which there's a lot of rumors about them possibly joining.
San Diego State, of course, on the other hand, with Steve Fisher, 9 20-win seasons in a row. Couple of Sweet 16s, and last year won the Mountain West Conference regular season outright.
And Bob, he did the exact opposite.
Shepard gives it up. Holy will go to the free throw line.
He took over a program that had losing record 13 out of the 14 previous years. And all Steve Fisher has done is not only make San Diego State relevant on the West Coast, but that man right there and his assistant to our left there, Brian Dutcher, have made them a significant and relevant program to the entire country. And it's absolutely remarkable what Steve Fisher has done.
Jermaine Sanders called for the foul. And when you think about California State college basketball, how many teams do you name, just Pac-12 alone, before you get down to San Diego State? Over the past several years, San Diego State has been far and away the most successful program in California.
And yeah, they have been. And now, you know, people talk about UCLA, and I think Steve Alford, who's a good friend of mine, teammate, is going to do really good things. But, hey, UCLA would die to have had the success that San Diego State has had in recent years.
Holy, off the free throw miss, was able to lean and bank one in. And here's that smothering defense from the Aztecs. But Octavius Ellis is fouled. Winston Shepard picks up the personal, and now back in the game. Troy Copain for the first time since the opening moments, when he exited and then jumped back in the locker room for a moment. Now he's back on the floor. DeBerry, Euro crossover, rolls it off the rim.
That's play in the NBA is called LeBron. Spread the floor, get it to the guy at the top of the key, and I guarantee it's the first time DeBerry and LeBron have been mentioned in the same sentence.
Holy can't hit from the corner, and Farad Cobb gets it on the carom. He'll try and take it the distance, and he meets Dwayne Polee and his right hand, and the ball meets the photographers.
Discretion sometimes is the better part of valor. Here's two guys up there ready, and Polee just beats it. We got of travel here, Bobby. Let's take a look. 1, 2. No, that's sweet. Just got to get it on the glass a little bit.
You can't call a move the LeBron and then say he walked. That doesn't work. Sanders with the follow.
LeBron would call it a crab dribble or whatever he makes up.
Two teams that are both in the top 15 in America in opponents' points per game. Neither allows more than 55 points a game, and we are off to that type of start. Only a 4-point difference, 16-12, as we come up on the 8.5-minute mark. Cale draws the foul. Now, the other funny thing, Dan, about these two teams, how they are mirror images of one another. They're both trying to do almost the exact same thing in replacing with young players an indispensable type player lost from last season. Sean Kilpatrick led Cincinnati in scoring last year, 31 out of 34 games. And Xavier Thames, I mean, he was the Mountain West Conference most dominant player, and now you've got Trey Cale, a freshman, running the point. It's hard to replace talent like that. Neither team's found a way so far.
Well, you mentioned Sean Kilpatrick, and he's a guy who scored 2,100 points plus in his career. And you know, it's not necessarily – I think you saw it at the end of the Nebraska game with Cincinnati, like, hey, who's going to be the guy? And that's going to develop. And I think this kid right here, Copain, will eventually be the guy that kind of makes plays. Not always at the end of the games, but you know, when you're in a conference game, it's a 3-point game, 4 minutes to go, crowd's going crazy, you need a bucket. I think he'll be the guy.
Moore picks up his dribble with 7 to shoot. Rod Cobb might have to hoist one up. Gets it off to Moore for 3. And that's an air ball, another shot clock violation for Cincinnati. It's a 6-point lead for the Aztecs. They're a terrific team on the road, off to a good start. And happy holidays from all of us to all of you and yours here from Cincinnati.
They never let the Kohl Center get going. They made shots against a team that makes you make shots, forces you to play their way. And Duke just said, 3 freshmen starting or not starting, we're mentally tough. And they were strong, tough, and dominant in that game. And that told me all you need to know about what Duke basketball is about this year.
10 count. Great backcourt pressure for Cincinnati. Creates the turnover. Something we're tracking tonight. How both of these teams play in the paint and how well they execute outside the paint. So far, San Diego State dominant in the paint, but not much away from the basket.
No, and they early couldn't figure out what Cincinnati was doing, so they threw it to the left block and got 3 baskets out of 3 attempts, which was great. But obviously, based on the numbers and what we've seen to this point this year, neither team a great outside shooting team.
Shaq Thomas rattles home a jumper.
Forgive me for continuing to reference the Big O, but I'm a bit starstruck because I love that man.
You did make googly eyes when he came over before.
I did.
Another backcourt pressure turnover. See if Steve Fisher wants a timeout. His team continues to struggle with the press from the Bearcats. Poli. Rejected, thrown away by Octavius Ellis. Aztecs looking for a goaltend. Was it on the way down? And there's the Big O.
That is an absolute goaltend. That sometimes when you're at home, you get a good call, and they got a good call. But, hey, to finish about the Big O, he was talking about Shaq Thomas. He felt like he has real ability, and you saw it right there, pull-up jump shot. The 2 kids that, again, he absolutely loved, Copain and Shaq Thomas.
Shot clock to 7. J.J. O'Brien off to Shepard. Shot clock at 2. A reach-in foul called against Cincinnati just as the shot clock was expiring. Kevin Johnson called for the foul.
Big O, he's to our left. He doesn't like it. The guys to our right are up screaming and yelling. And Big O's seen it before.
Nice cut by by O'Brien. Finishes with the left hand.
Well, that's classic against his owner, switching man-to-man. Hit the short corner and dive from the free throw line. Terrific offense. Great execution by San Diego State.
Steve Fisher said J.J. O'Brien's a coach's dream. The fifth-year senior makes everybody better. What he does doesn't show up in the box score.
Well, he's seen it. He's been terrific in transition defense. Really good right there. Never gets beat one-on-one by his man. But number 20 is the guy we're talking about.
A little too much ball handling by Shaq Thomas. Shepard has his pocket picked by Copain, but it will stay with the Aztecs. Matt Shrigley comes back on for San Diego State. He'll replace Poli.
And O'Brien on that last possession forced the turnover. He was off the ball. He fake trapped at the ball, made the ball get picked up and loose, and a steal for San Diego State.
Shrigley with a hand check called on Shaq Thomas. That's Thomas's first foul. 16 fouls on the Bearcats here in the first half. The Aztecs with only 2 fouls. And that was something, when you look at the numbers, Dan, that impressed me as well. Both of these teams are terrific defensive teams. Evidence there. Again, pressure off the inbound gets Cincinnati a steal. But they also both don't foul, at least not often.
Bobby, watch their hands. Their hands are always on the side. They're always in a passing lane. They're rarely up into the defender. They were right there for Cincinnati. They got called for a foul. But watch, their hands are always back. And then when somebody goes up to shoot, they put great pressure. They use their hands to deflect, not to hold.
Cincinnati's 33rd in the country in fewest fouls per game, and San Diego State's tied for 18th. Copain allows the flyby. Can't hit the jumper. In and out. Trying to keep it alive was Quadri Moore. And it's out of bounds and over to the Aztecs.
Bobby, once again, transition defense. You think that you have transition. You think you're going to go. Copain had the ball, took it down. The 2 guys were already back, and they forced a jump shot, not a layup. I'm telling you, if you're a coach out there and you need to tape this game and get rid of the offense, don't look at that. but look at the transition defense for both teams. It's exceptional.
Bank shot won't go. Skylar Spencer just a little too strong off the glass.
You see a lot of balls going in and out because a basketball is a living, breathing organism, and it knows who is shooting it, and it knows that neither team deserves rolls.
That explains a lot to me, at least for my days of shooting the basketball. I had no idea it had that kind of knowledge. No wonder. From way outside, it's Johnson. Shrigley may have gotten a piece as that one fell about a foot short. Shepard with a crossover. Offensive foul call on Winston Shepard.
All right, we're going to give you one little nugget here on offense, and it's against the zone. The short corner is many times a switching man-to-man. You see the ball just being dribbled. Now, there's a step out. Couple guys go. No defender comes to the ball. They're out of position, and there it is. O'Brien doing what he does, find an opening. Defensively, the rule is when the ball is below the free throw line and you are 2 passes away and help side, you have to get in the middle of the lane. 2 guys were out of position, resulted in a layup.
And at the offensive end for Cincinnati, 5 straight empty possessions, and yet they're only down by 4. DeBerry takes it to the basket again.
Connie Hawkins.
So far, Coriante DeBerry has been compared to Connie Hawkins and LeBron.
It's a good day for DeBerry.
He only averages 2.5 points per game.
Yeah, but it's a good 2.
A steal. Here comes Octavius Ellis.
Find DeBerry. How about that transition defense? Wow. They just don't let you get anything.
Shaq Thomas, a jump stop on the baseline. He's fouled by Angelo Chol. 3:19 to go in the first half. The first foul on Chol. Is he LeBron? Is he Connie Hawkins?
Connie Hawkins, one hand. You know what I'm talking about, you old guys. Out there, and it's a shame he's not coaching. I love the work that he does with us. He's great. When he talks, I listen. But man, oh man, could he coach basketball, and was he good for kids?
And his mentor is pretty good for kids, too.
Really good. Skip was fantastic. And just, you know, been around. I don't know him great. I know him enough. But man, just, they were so good.
Thomas from outside. Too strong. And the long rebound couldn't be held on to by Deshaun Mormon. O'Brien with a kick out to Quinn. Keel Quinn off the mark. Kept alive on the offensive glass by Chol. Throws it in the lane, and it's ripped away by Octavius Ellis.
Nobody really helped Chol there. Chol got a good rebound, and everybody kind of stood, put their hand up like it was sixth grade basketball. Throw me the ball, throw me the ball, instead of cutting into an open area where he could find somebody.
A foul called on Shaq Thomas. That's his second. He was trying to run the baseline and got tied up with Shrigley, and the foul was called by Terry Oglesby on Shaq Thomas.
See it on the right. That's a little pinball. I don't know that would have been on Shaq. I think the referee.
Check that. They called it on Octavius Ellis.
Now that I could go with because he bumped originally.
Shaq Thomas was reacting as if the call was on him, but it is on Ellis. And now some confusion at the scorer's table, I think, over which player the foul was called on. The scorer's table doesn't know, and now it is confirmed. It is number 2, Octavius Ellis. And that's Ellis's first personal. So the Bearcats now over the limit for the rest of the first half. San Diego State will shoot free throws the rest of the way. And the Aztecs only sitting on 4 fouls here in the first half. And Joe DeRosa spending some quality time with Mick Cronin. So Octavius Ellis takes a seat after committing that last foul. And a pretty small lineup on the floor right now for Cincinnati. The biggest player out there, Corianto DeBerry, 6'9". So they get a takeaway. Crossover by Cobb. Wanted to throw the lob to Shaq Thomas, and Thomas was pushed in the back and fouled. That'll go against Matt Shrigley. That's his first. So Jermaine Sanders is out, and Octavius Ellis is now back in for Cincinnati. Only team foul number 5 on San Diego State. Corianto DeBerry started to cut towards the basket. Deshaun Mormon threw it in the backcourt, but now they're going to say, well, for a moment they were going to say that it was touched by San Diego State. It clearly was not. Now it will stay with the Aztecs.
The Big O got the ball and the crowd yelled, shoot. The ball was thrown right to him on the front row.
Shrigley from the corner.
Well, you have to make that. You just, you know, in a game like this, you're not going to get many great looks. You get a great look. That's why you're out there. You got to knock it in. People say, well, you know, he's human. He's going to miss. No, you got to make. Trying to win.
Shaq Thomas leans in, blocked by Spencer. Another try. That won't go. Wow. And the tip is good for Ellis.
Just determination, Bob. Shaq Thomas made Ellis play harder there by his determination.
Tied at 20, coming up on a minute to go in the first half.
Ooh, that was a walk.
It is a walk on O'Brien, and that's actually a break for San Diego State. As if that play had been allowed to continue, Shaq Thomas might have had a dunk. Timeout on the floor with 1:10 to go in the first half.
We have to described as, well, there's Shaq. And now there's Shaq again. Look at this. LeBron, spread it out. Give him the ball at the top of the key and let him go Connie Hawkins with the one hand on you. DeBerry having a monster game. Only averages 2 points. Throw it to him again.
Here he is. He'll step outside. Oh, for a second, I thought he was going to go one-on-one.
That's a staple of Steve Fisher, the post double. He did it with Weber. He did it with Howard. He did it with Riley, Eric Riley. He's done it with pros.
Shaq Thomas.
Wow.
Does not get the roll, but he'll go to the free throw line.
Steve Fisher is not going to let you beat him in the post. It doesn't matter if it's DeBerry or whomever. You see the post double. Now what has to happen is somebody's got to get to the front of the rim. Nobody does, so DeBerry just simply has to back it out, and the defense resets. But Steve Fisher had the biggest, best players in the Big Ten when he had Juwan Howard and Chris Webber, and he still post double. Didn't matter. That's what he does. And here's why you do that. Number one, it makes an uncomfortable passer a passer. Number two, it helps your bigs not get into foul trouble because they have help. So Steve has always done that, and it's been very effective.
What's the best way to beat it?
The best way to beat it is you dive to the front of the rim. You take a guy at the top of the key, move him ball side, hit the guy at the top of the key, either look down or reverse it for the shot. The opposite side is where the shot is.
How good of a passer does your big man have to be in order to get the strategy to work out to beat it?
He has to be able to make one pass, and that pass is either to the top of the key or it's got to be opposite. It's always got to be able to do. And to beat it and you score, you always spin to the baseline.
How about the backcourt pressure continuing for Cincinnati? And this has been something San Diego State has struggled with throughout the first half. Well done by J.J. O'Brien. Sets up Shrigley in the corner. He can't make UC pay with the wide open three, but it is an offensive rebound and a reset for the Aztecs. Leaning in, floating one up. Akil Quinn, that's no good. Another offensive rebound. Spencer is stuffed, and it's taken away by DeBerry.
Well, how good was that? I mean, you had guys jumping at the ball. You had athletic ability. You had guys on the rim. Nobody can get an easy shot against either of these teams around the backboard.
So Mick Cronin will call the timeout you can't take with you to the second half, and the Bearcats can hold for one. They're up by 2 in a game, Dan Dakich, that is basically what we expected to a T. It looks like at best we're going to have maybe a 24-25-20 time. We said first team to 50 wins. Might not even get there.
That'd be 45. 45 win by 2.
Earlier today, the fans on their way in had a chance to pose with 2 very nice trophies, because in the FBS, Football Bowl subdivision of football, Cincinnati is the only school that right now is the defending conference champion in both football and basketball. They obviously won the American last year, and this season won the American in football, and going to 4 straight NCAA tournaments and bowls as well, at least 4 in a row. Cincinnati and San Diego State on a 6-team list of schools that have accomplished that.
Yeah, and that's pretty impressive. Look, the schools in the Big Ten, Michigan State, all you got to do is have a pulse and you're going to get into a bowl game. And let's be honest. So San Diego State, Cincinnati have to play their way in, as does the Big Ten, but you know what I mean. I mean, you have a pulse.
I always know what you mean.
Have a pulse and schedule a little bit, and you're automatic in the Big Ten.
10 seconds to go in the half. Copain leans in, left hand, comes up short, gets his own miss, stripped away. 4 seconds to go. A scramble for it. The possession arrow will give it to the Aztecs with 2.3 seconds to go in the half.
Difference between making shots and missing shots, Bob. They're going to be down 2, probably. The Aztecs are, but man, they've had great looks left corner. You make shots, you're going to be up 3-5. Miss them, you're down 2.
14 consecutive empty possessions for San Diego State, and they're only down by 2. It's because they play defense.
Yeah, because they guard. They're in every game.
DeBerry. That one thrown the length of the court, but after the buzzer by Copain. And it was a nearly 6.5-minute drought to end the first half for Steve Fisher's team. And yet these two only separated by a bucket as we head to halftime here in Cincinnati at Fifth Third Arena. A 2-point lead for the Bearcats. Let's head back for the Kay Jewelers halftime report. Brendan Fitzgerald, Dino Gaudio. Brendan?
Block is open. They've got to get the ball down into the post. They cannot rely on jump shots. And you know what? For Cincinnati here, they can go to the block, fine, but they're going to be post doubled. They have to play out of it. But what they've got to do is reverse the ball 2 or 3 times and then make a drive. You've got to move the defense and move it, and then go. If you drive against either of these teams, against stacked defense, you got no shot at getting to the rim. I mean, none.
Well, speaking with Steve Fisher earlier today, and I asked him, what can't happen? You lose this game tonight because what? He said if we turn it over 20 times or we give up 20 offensive rebounds, those would be bad numbers. Well, in the first half, Cincinnati had 9 offensive rebounds. In the first half, the Aztecs turned it over 11 times. So they're basically halfway to exactly those 2 numbers that he said they couldn't have.
Ball rolls off the front of the rim when you have to continually shoot over somebody. And that's what both teams have to do.
Shepard leans in, no good. The tip follow is there for Skylar Spencer. That rolls off as well, but now basket interference is called. So score the bucket for the Aztecs, and we're tied up.
Yeah, you see glimpses of guys like Skylar Spencer you saw right there. Quick jump, good touch, got the tip in. Look how deep they're catching the basketball.
Kevin Johnson, the long diagonal pass, read beautifully by Winston Shepard, and he takes it the distance.
Man, that was 6'7", 6'8", long arm, athletic, and handling the ball with a terrific finish by Shepard. There's just nothing at the end of the break for Cincinnati. All they're doing is breaking pressure, and now you see they're playing against a stacked defense, and you want to do that against San Diego State, it's going to be tough.
Kevin Johnson on a curl was wide open under the basket, but they missed him. So now leaning in, banking it home is Gary Clark. He didn't play much in the first half. Picked up a second foul very early. And as a result, in the first half, Clark was only able to play 7 minutes, but he averages about 9 points a game.
Yeah, he's at 9 points, 9 rebounds, one of the best freshman rebounders in the country.
Shepard to the corner. Poli comes up short.
Well, that's still good offense, but you just got to make the shot.
Sloppy dribble by Copain, and that gives Poli a chance for a flush.
Every guy underneath the basket that's a student at Cincinnati that has never dunked in their life thinks that should be a technical. But Poli held on to the rim to clear space so he can come down. But every dude that's never even thought of dunking in his life thinks that's a tee.
Shaq Thomas throws it to nowhere, and it's another Cincinnati turnover. Poli straight away, way short. All tapped around, and Ellis has it for Cincinnati. Here comes Shaq Thomas. Spins, banks it home.
Pretty athletic right there on the spin. He just kind of unfolded.
Kell needs some help. J.J. O'Brien, a nice job to find Poli. He throws it down. That'll beat the press.
Ooh, terrific screen by number 0, Spencer. He saw the ball went to the corner, and he just walled off Ellis, and Poli strong. Wow. Looked like his dad. His dad was really, really good. Dwayne Poli the first, I guess.
A 3 goes down from the corner for Kevin Johnson. That's the first triple for Cincinnati. They're now 1 for 6 behind the arc, but that gives them the lead. Kell fouled by Johnson.
Well, you're going to see the ball goes to the corner off the steal. A little loose ball handling here. And Poli just going to the rim. I mean, and he's got to hang on. And now here, watch the wall. Look at number 0 right there. Wall's off Ellis. You give Poli a running start, he's going to dunk it with his ear.
A foul on Kevin Johnson, his second. Poli takes a seat for the first time in the second half. Matt Shrigley has come back on. Nice pass into the lane, and Shepard able to hit the little baby jumper.
A really nice cut, good timing. Shrigley had the ball right wing, and Shepard opposite just came off a little curl into the lane. Really well timed.
Backcourt pressure. Farad Cobb struggling. Kicks it into the lane. J.J. O'Brien goes down and digs it out for the Aztecs. Nice ball movement again for San Diego State, and it's a throwdown for Skylar Spencer. Timeout called by Mick Cronin.
Hey, Steve Fisher.
Half 12 points for San Diego State. They only had 20 in the first half.
Bobby, biggest difference is this right here. Look at the ball movement. The ball goes in the post. It goes short corner. It gets skipped, and when you skip it, then you have the opposite post available. Great. That's the biggest difference in the second half is San Diego State has moved the basketball when they've broken pressure, and Cincinnati hasn't had anything in the secondary break once they've broken pressure. They're kind of stagnant and playing against a stacked defense. And Steve Fisher, you play against his defense enough, you're going to struggle like crazy to score.
That's Dan Dockich. I'm Bob Wischusen. What's the harder team to coach? A team that has a tremendous amount of offensive talent but struggles at the defensive end? Or teams like this that might struggle offensively, but you know they're going to lock you down for 40 minutes and keep the game low scoring?
Well, one of the fun things for Steve Fisher coaching this team is how hard these guys will play. So that's the most fun team to coach, whether they're good offensively or defensively, is teams that just get after it, and San Diego State really gets after it. Now, you always feel more confident in your ability to win if you can score. And that may sound simple, but in modern-day college basketball, if you can score consistently in the 70s, you're going to win a lot of basketball games because not a lot of teams can.
Thomas is fouled, and Skylar Spencer can't believe it. And once again, we'll step aside for just a moment. When we come back, Shaq Thomas goes to the line for the Bearcats.
Center, and you've done a ton of games here, man. That's just not easy. But I'm telling you, I bet you Okafor walks around like he's 7 feet tall and not ashamed of it one bit.
What is it about that concept that goes over the head of A, a 20-year-old, or B, a 20-year-old that happens to be on Twitter?
Because the Twitterazzi's, they're exhausting, and you know, if you don't, I don't know, they're just exhausting. So, you know, every 20-something-year-old with an opinion. But coaches understand. Can I tell you a story about Coach Knight? We had a 7-footer named Todd Lindemann, and he would never play big. Coach Knight and I are driving down the street, and we're at the convenience store, and he walks outside of the convenience store with a girlfriend who's like 4'2", and it infuriated Coach Knight. He's like, he stops the car, turns around, Lindemann, get over here. Starts screaming at him about having a short girlfriend.
In the parking lot of the convenience store.
In the parking lot before practice of the convenience store.
Another foul called on Skylar Spencer. That's his second.
The point being, hey, if you're going to be big, walk big, talk big, act big, be big, have a big girlfriend. I mean, that's was Coach Knight's theory, and I've kind of paid attention to it.
Like if he went to Starbucks and got a small coffee.
No.
Is that a problem?
No, yes. Big.
Gotcha.
And that's what Okafor does to you. He plays big. Looks big. See how the ball stops and stays on one side? Now you got to reset. It's totally different than what San Diego State's been able to do in the second half.
Gary Clark leans in, uses the window. We're tied again.
Well, you can tell he's comfortable on that right elbow. He just went to work, and everybody got out of his way. Terrific move by the freshman Clark.
Timeout called by Steve Fisher from the San Diego State bench with pressure again, just about causing a 10 count in the backcourt. Cincinnati Once they kicked it into that extra defensive gear about halfway through the first half and Mick Cronin dialed it up, it's been a different game since then.
And again, I was given notes from San Diego State's staff, and number one, take care of the basketball. Don't receive the ball so deep against the press. And deep means closer to the baseline. And again, they did right there, and they've had a problem.
Again, Gary Clark only played 7 minutes in the first half because of foul trouble. He can be a difference maker when he's on the floor.
Bob, look, that's just a straight clear out. That's old school. You know, Larry Bird or Dr. J on one side, and away you go. And Gary Clark, you can tell he's really, really comfortable from 15 feet in. Because you don't make that shot if you're not real comfortable with it.
We've had LeBron. We've had Connie Hawkins. Now we're going Dr. J. Obviously, the Big O's in the house. You have gone old school hoop on us tonight. It's been fun.
Don't make me talk about Dick the Skull Barnett. I see a lefty kicking his legs out.
Shrigley off the screen. Too strong. Long rebound, though. And a reset now as Akil Quinn's got it. Nice crossover by Quinn. Has his pocket picked. Ends up with J.J. O'Brien. Shrigley's pass stolen by Copain. Protects it with the right hand.
Oh, was that good by Copain and bad by Shrigley. Shrigley, after he made a pass, didn't step up into the zone, stayed back, made an air pass that Copain just took. You always have to pass and step into a zone. And if you don't know it's a zone, assume it's a switching man-to-man and do the same thing.
Quinn for three. Yes.
Pretty good, Bobby. Shut the crowd up. The ball went to the short corner, as we talked about in the first half. Didn't have anybody diving, but you had somebody at the top of the key. That was Quinn. They found him, and he stepped into it nice.
7 ties, 7 lead changes, and 2 teams that are mirror images of one another now doing to each other with full court pressure. Turnabout fair play for San Diego State as their pressure creates a turnover.
Johnson looked very, very shaky with the basketball now.
Deep position for Skylar Spencer and a foul called on Ellis. That's his second.
Well, they've been trying to step in opposite all game long. It hasn't worked. And Quinn really got bailed out. He made a bad one-handed pass. He didn't throw it away from the defense. And remember, when you're throwing the ball into the post, if you're a white shirt, you don't throw it to another white shirt. You throw it away from the black shirt.
O'Brien pulled the string but got his own miss.
Yeah, he's comfortable in the middle. Not a lot of guys are. He cut into the middle, had good patience, short-armed it a little bit, but stayed after it. Really nice cut by O'Brien coming in from opposite.
14 of San Diego State's 15 field goals have come in the paint. They've got 2 buckets from any type of distance.
It's because they can't shoot. That's analysis right there, Bob. They just cannot shoot.
Down to 3 to shoot. Cobb will drive it, throws it way up off the window, and that's a shot clock violation.
Man, Poli got in a stance. First half of the possession, he kept the ball on the left side of the floor, and then he sat down and forced Cobb out where he almost stepped out of bounds and got in a stance and caused that almost by himself. Terrific defense by Dwayne Poli.
Winston Shepard in and out on the dunk. Chol with an offensive rebound. The scramble in the corner ends up with Shepard, but he lost it. Under 12 minutes to go. 3-point lead for San Diego State here in Cincinnati. Figures, which is not surprising. There's only 2 players for both teams combined that even average double figures. Is this a frustrating game to coach, or in a way is it a pleasure to coach because these two teams play so hard and you know you're going to get stopped?
I think it's more of a pleasure. I mean, both teams are playing really, really hard. There's nobody. If you don't play hard in this game, you get exposed really quickly, and I personally like that. I understand that we would like basketball to be scored in the 80s and 90s. I get it, but it's a little bit like, I kind of like 1-0 pitchers duels as well. I think the cat and mouse game between Mick Cronin and Steve Fisher is fascinating, what they're going to do when they break pressure. So, to me, this is a really fun basketball game because you got to play hard.
Full court pressure for San Diego State. That's broken by Cincinnati as they've got both point guards on the floor once again. Copain and Cobb have played a lot together tonight. Thomas turns around in the lane. And that ball knocked off the rim. And Mick Cronin and the Cincinnati bench and their players thought it might have been basket interference.
I thought it was basket interference, too. The ball looked like it was on the rim and got wiped off. International rules say you can do that, but there's Cincinnati, Ohio.
Shot clock under 10 and a foul called on Octavius Ellis. That's his third.
All right, let's take a look. The ball's bouncing around the rim. Remember, there's a cone. That's obvious. That's easy. That's really easy. Basically, the ball, there's a cone that goes from the rim all the way up to the ceiling. If you touch the ball inside of it, it's goaltending. That was an easy one.
Shepard draws the foul on Shaq Thomas. That's his third. So now Winston Shepard will go to the free throw line.
That's second goaltend they've missed today, and that's one of the easier calls to make in college basketball. Pretty good cut by Shepard once again, and he put his body into the defense, drew a foul.
I had an official one time tell me that he thought that goaltending was one of the harder calls to make because you're concentrating on contact in the lane, inside the restricted area, outside of the restricted area. Did he walk? Did he not? And then all of a sudden, in a split second, you had to refocus on, is the ball right at the top of its arc before it's touched, before it's blocked? You disagree?
Was that a 6th or 7th grade official?
I thought he was early high school. But those are the people that deign to talk to me.
You know, I could see where, because of the silliness of, well, I'm looking at this zone, and officiating, they make it into, trigonometry. I mean, if you talk to an official guy, it's exhausting. But I could see that. But that one, Bobby, there's a guy, the backcourt guy. The guy in the backcourt by half court is in charge of the ball on the rim, and he missed 2 of them.
Goes right through Octavius Ellis' hands. And very quickly, Coriante DeBerry gets up off the Bearcat bench, as does Gary Clark. This is a 7-0 run for San Diego State. Now, a 5-point lead in most games doesn't seem too big. A 5-point lead in this game, that starts to stretch to the danger zone when you can only score 34 2/3 to 3/4 of the way through the game. With 10 to shoot. Into the lane. Forces one up. Ugly.
That was good deep. I'd let Chola have the ball every single time if I was Cincinnati.
Mormon attacks. That's pinned by Chol. Now they'll say goaltending as the ball hit the backboard first. That ball had no chance to go through the hoop, but it hit the backboard, and then Chol touched it, and as a result, Joe DeRosa says score the bucket.
Rule is hits the backboard. You see right there, it hits the backboard, and you went and got it. Wow.
Right to Steve Fisher. Steve Fisher still arguing the goaltending call.
Well, he's even. Well, no, he's down 1. There's been 2 bad ones, 1 good one, so there'll be another one here. They'll make it up.
Water finds its level.
Always. And makeup calls are part of hoops.
Cobb from way outside.
Bob, that ball was dead right the minute he shot it. I don't think he was ready to shoot and then just decided to.
Coley tries at the other end. That's no good. 3-on-2 for Cincinnati. Mormon has his pocket picked from behind by J.J. O'Brien. Here comes Winston Shepard. Goes right at DeBerry and finishes with the left hand.
All right, two things that San Diego State charts: deflections and back taps. You saw a back tap there. The Cincinnati player was at the free throw line. He was behind, in front of the defense. Here came from behind San Diego State with a back tap that resulted in a layup for Shepard on the other end. Heck of a defensive play.
And Shepard becomes the first player in the game in double figures. His 6th game in double figures this season. Shot clock to 10 for Cincinnati. Gary Clark, one-on-one, forces it up with the left hand. It won't go.
That's bad offensive possession. That was a bunch of guys standing around, one guy taking off and driving. I kind of get the feeling that somebody is going to make a couple threes here.
Joel hit the underside of the backboard, but a foul call.
This is a bailout. Joel hasn't made anything, and he has no chance he's going to make this one. That's just a bad call.
3rd on Gary Clark. Joel, only a 41% free throw shooter to start off the season, flanks the first. And now Mormon and DeBerry take a seat. Copain comes back on for Cincinnati. Big things expected for Angelo Chol. As you could see, the preseason Mountain West Newcomer of the Year predicted after he sat out last year, transferred from Arizona. So far this season, only averaging 6 points per game.
What defense?
Sanders for 3. No good. Tapped around. An extra effort inside by Gary Clark kept it alive, and Ellis was able to track it down.
I don't know how much longer you can keep Joel in here. His hands aren't very good. He's not going to make free throws.
Cobb with an old school floater.
And he didn't block that shot, and Cobb was able to go get a bucket over him.
Here goes Joel throwing it down. And he went down, and he is hurt. A thunderous dunk by Angelo Chol, but he lost his balance. His feet went right out from under him as he came down for the landing. So we'll step aside as the team doctor for San Diego State takes a look at Angelo Chol.
6'9", 240. I was just saying they had to get him out of the game, and I think they were getting him out of the game, but
Landed awkwardly on the left leg and immediately went to that left knee.
it was a heck of an athletic play. Not only the dunk, but the sprint to get the dunk.
So Skylar Spencer and Winston Shepard both back in the front court for the Aztecs, with Chol now on the bench. Cincinnati out of fouls to give. They've committed 6 here in the second half. San Diego State has only committed 2 second-half fouls. That floating pass by Cobb deflected, but it's off the backboard right to Clark. Copain able to finish, score the basket, plus the foul. Another foul called on Skylar Spencer.
Well, this was really good by Copain. He saw the opening before he got the ball. That's what good players do. They see one Polaroid ahead, He went right past, finished with his chin on the rim, absorbed the contact, three-point opportunity.
Third foul on Spencer.
Best basketball players see the game one play ahead, one Polaroid ahead. That's what it was said about Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas. They saw it one play ahead.
Shrigley back to the corner, but unable to handle the pass was Winston Shepherd.
Bob, I'll give you an example. Shrigley right there didn't see one play ahead. He had his mind made up. He was taking one dribble and firing it to Shepherd in the corner. That's the difference between a good play and a terrible play, and Shrigley made a terrible play there.
Shot clock winding down. Copain, a little hesitation dribble, skips it to the corner. Ah, it's a tough three. Fading away and knocking it down is Jermaine Sanders. And we're deadlocked again. O'Brien inside, blocked on the way up by Octavius Ellis.
See, Bobby, on the skip pass, Cobb wasn't ready. He was hanging out. Had he been up and ready by the three-point line, he'd either had a shot or kicked it to the corner to the hot guy. There's never a time to take a break during a basketball game.
Cobb drives it and scores. Cincinnati back on top. Shepherd fades away, knocks it down, plus the foul.
Oh, man. You know, when you see Shepherd, you wonder why this guy doesn't score more. Look, he finds himself in an opening right in the middle, turns and faces, good patience, hangs on to it, and then just that little reach hits him on the left hand. His right hand, his elbow stays under the ball. But a really good play by Shepherd, just hanging on to the ball and figuring it out without putting his head down and going.
Farad Cobb called for the foul on the reach-in. That's his first. And Winston Shepherd gives San Diego State the lead again. Just under 5 minutes to go. You want a remarkable number? 126 wins in a row for San Diego State when they have led with 5 minutes to play.
That is the most amazing record that I've heard in college basketball, because in talking to people with San Diego State, they've lost the lead at different times. That tells me three things. Number one, they've had good guard play, which we know they've had, Xavier Thames. Number two, they take away the block, and they do it with a post double. And number three, they're a good rebounding team. Because if you rebound late in the game, it takes away so many fouls, so many easy buckets. It makes the team against you knocking shots, and that's why they're successful.
Now, technically, they weren't leading with 5 minutes to go. Tonight's game doesn't apply.
Okay.
They were leading with 4:52 to go, but Winston Shepherd made the three-point play happen just under 5 minutes to go. Having said that, it's still a ridiculous record. 126 straight when leading with 5 minutes to go for a team that plays low-scoring games. If it was Kentucky,
right,
I guess you'd understand it if they're playing games and can score at will, and they've got that kind of talent. But this is a team, especially on the road, that knows how to close out games late.
And the last thing I'd say with that whole deal is they're really well coached, and they know who to foul at the end of games and all those kind of things in scouting.
Quinn got caught in midair, had nowhere to go.
Bobby, I've been in college basketball, around college basketball since 1981 in the fall, and I've never seen that. I've never seen a guy on the perimeter go up for a jump shot, get it contested, and then come down with the ball. Terrific defense once again by Cincinnati.
Cobb steps back. Steve Fisher wants a timeout. But we said first team to 50. And you might turn the lights out. Obviously, we're going to get past 50.
Maybe.
But it is the low-scoring war that we expected it to be between these two teams.
Yeah, and both teams are playing terrific defense, patient on offense, but you got to give Cobb great credit. Cobb made the layup, and then he apparently has shown himself to be one of those guys that isn't afraid of the moment, and when he knows he's rolling, he'll take a shot, and hey, that's what's needed in this game. We said earlier, someone's going to make a three, someone's going to get hot, someone's going to get feeling it, because there have been some open shots in this game.
San Diego State at one point had a 7-point lead. This is Cincinnati's largest lead, and it probably is a bigger and more important game for Mick Cronin's team. The American Athletic Conference, 0-9 so far against ranked teams. There is not a team in their league that's receiving a vote right now in the AP poll. San Diego State has already played a very difficult out-of-conference schedule, having gone to Maui. They've got some quality wins. The opportunity down as this season progresses for Cincinnati to get wins like this one tonight, if they get it, few and far between.
Yeah, they are few and far between. Won't play a ranked team probably all year. And here you are, 3-point lead, 3.5 to go. You got to close this out at home.
7 to shoot. Holy rises up. That hit the backboard first. Long rebound tracked down by Gary Clark.
Holy got really excited. He was running towards the ball, and 3 steps before he shot it, he was going to lift up and shoot that basketball, and you saw it went long and off the opposite flange. I'll go back to Cobb, but Quinn doing a nice job of staying on top of him. Cobb's number 21 in the corner.
Payne kicked it to the corner. A scramble for it, out of bounds. And it stays with Cincinnati with 8 to shoot. It's a 3-point lead for Cincinnati. They've only made 2 threes tonight, but this last one a short time ago from Farad Cobb, the step back, was a big one. Eastern on ESPN, also available on Watch ESPN. ESPN, the home court of college hoops.
I was talking to a couple NBA scouts before the game, and they're all headed from here to that ball game because they want to see Brimma against Okafor.
After the timeout, 8 to shoot for Cincinnati. Octavius Ellis faces up. That's off the mark. 9 different players have scored for the Bearcats. None have scored more than 7, and yet they've got the lead.
One of the reasons they have the lead is lack of ball movement from San Diego State. San Diego State was bringing the ball down, whipping it around. Now they've kind of kept it on one side and away from the defense. Against this zone, you've got to go into the defense like that.
Kell attacks, scores, plus the foul. Trey Kell, the freshman, with a chance to tie the game at the line.
You can't play one-sided against either of these teams, and the ball finally got reversed. It went from one side, you see Poli, they reversed the basketball, and now you drive recovery. And when you drive recovery and you have quickness like Kell does, you're going to get past and make something happen.
And he finishes that foul on Octavius Ellis, his 4th. So now both teams with a big man in big-time foul trouble. Skylar Spencer has 4 for San Diego State. Octavius Ellis has 4 for Cincinnati. If this game goes to overtime, it could become a war of attrition. Cobb for 3. Got it! Nice backdoor cut. Unable to finish, though, with Shepard.
Hey, Cobb is just taking this over. 7 points here late, lifting up. I don't know if it was a great shot, but I know it went in. Ball's got to get back to Cobb at the end of this possession.
He might just come and get it.
He should.
Shot clock down to 8. It's Copain instead on the drive with the left hand. It won't go. The back tap ends up with Poli. He leans in, rolls it off the rim. Octavius Ellis has the rebound, rips it free. Penetrates. Too strong. Stepping on the end line, though, was Skylar Spencer. Now, the ball did not hit the rim, so there's 6 seconds on the shot clock for Cincinnati.
30 seconds.
Nick Cronin wants a timeout.
Oh, man. We said it earlier, someone's going to knock in shots, someone's going to get hot. Well, there's your guy right there, and he knew it, too. You can always tell how a guy backs up, and now here Cobb just getting a little wild, feeling it. Ball did not hit the rim, and this will go back to Cincinnati with 6 seconds on the inbounds. Hey, Bob, on this inbounds, last time Ellis got the ball, and nothing good happens against a good defensive team when the big guy gets the ball at 15 feet. So Cincinnati, out of this timeout, has to make sure they have 2 options. One for Cobain, and the other cannot make jump shots. And you know what? Talented team. But if you can't shoot, you can't score. It's that simple in modern-day college basketball. And when you play games in the 40s, low 50s, you're going to lose.
If it comes down to this, though, now the Aztecs still have a couple of fouls to give. They've only committed 4 fouls. But should they need to get to the point where they put Cincinnati on the line, look what the Bearcats did in the double overtime loss at Nebraska. 12 of 24 at the free throw line, only shooting 65% as a team. That's an Achilles heel for them as well. So there's a lot of different strategic ways that these two coaches can try and manage this last 45 seconds.
And there's no doubt. But again, right now, if you're Mick Cronin, he's got to get the ball to either Cobb or Copain. They may inbound it with Copain. He's their best inbounds guy. But this has to go now to Sanders or to Cobb.
Tough lob into the corner, caught by Clark. Crosses over and finishes.
Steve Fisher needs a timeout.
Quinn for 3. Knocks it down. Now he'll take the timeout.
Oh, man.
Akil Quinn makes it a 2-point game with 26 seconds to go.
Steve Fisher I was cheating there. Steve Fisher went to the referee and was going to get a timeout. I was cheating. And then he went, no. And next thing you know, they lift up and knock in a 3, and now he gets a timeout.
How about the execution at the other end, though? Nice job by Gary Clark. A tough catch in the corner.
Bob, it was a good play, but it was a really bad play by number 13, Shepard. He went to the outside 6 seconds ago. You just stay in front of the man. Fisher, you can kind of see him. He wanted the timeout. Nah. And then he stopped. You see the referee put his right hand up, and then he put it back. And Fish let it go, and there's your result. Good coaching right there. I always remember Dick Vitale when I was watching games. Get a timeout. Well, the coach was already up yelling for a timeout, so he would, say, get a timeout. And I saw Fish do that. And I was cheating.
You would never cheat.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, there's no chance. Now, here's an one at the line. Again, Kevin Connors, Jay Harris standing by with SportsCenter as soon as we're done here at Cincinnati. Cobb in the corner, double teamed, and a foul call. Do you want to give the foul? even though you have fouls to give that quickly when you've got a short player doubled in the corner?
No, probably not. You can see by the reaction they didn't want to get the foul. They knew they had Cincinnati in a bad spot, but worst case scenario, they only lost about 0.5 of a second.
And now a very difficult spot for Jermaine Sanders to try and inbound from. Do officials ever anticipate that, knowing a
100%.
team's got fouls to give? I would assume they'd want to call a foul, and then you call it almost immediately?
That foul would not have been called in the first 39 minutes of this game, 39-30.
Tough catch.
Same
There's
foul.
another foul call.
That's bad officiating. I'm just going to tell you, that's bad officiating. Unless Steve Fisher told him, hey, we're going to foul, call it immediately. Both players on San Diego State look like, wait, we didn't want to foul.
Sanders can't get it in and has to call a timeout. And now the Aztecs are out of fouls to give, so the next foul creates a 1-and-1. But both fouls called in positions where it seemed like San Diego State had a pretty significant defensive advantage, but a quick whistle takes them out of that advantage.
No doubt about it. And again, unless Steve Fisher told that referee, look, we're going to foul, that's bad officiating, because it was right in front of us. We had a perfect angle. I had a perfect angle right here, and it wasn't a foul. And the players reacted as if they didn't want to foul, and they had Cincinnati in a bad spot.
Farad Cobb had 24 points earlier this season against Morehead State, the second game of the year. That was his only game this season in double figures. He's been a force tonight, though.
I mean, he has, and he's been a force late. And when he made that layup, got himself going, because this came after it, and then this came after that. So sometimes all it takes in a game like this is one guy to get rolling, and Cobb is that guy.
All 9 of his points have come in the last 7 minutes and 13 seconds.
He had made some bad decisions early. Shot the ball when he first touched it. First time he touched it, bad shot. But, man, he's settled down, and he's been the difference.
Each team with only one timeout left, so here's Jermaine Sanders to try and get it in. And does. Johnson gets it across the timeline, almost had his pocket picked, but a foul is called. Dakari Allen picks up his first. 17 seconds to go, and it'll be a 1-and-1. So Kevin Johnson to shoot the 1-and-1. He is 5 for 10 from the free throw line so far this season. Still a one-possession game with 17 seconds to go.
If Cincinnati picks up at all, then you have to set a ball screen for whoever the ball handler is at half court to open up some space, give yourself a possibility of a three or an open drive to the rim.
The sophomore knocks them both down. Aztecs have to hurry.
And Shepard with a ball screen.
Kell for 3. Yes! 10.5 seconds to go, and it's a 1-point game. San Diego State was 2 for 17 from 3 until all of a sudden in the closing moments they knocked down a pair to keep the game alive. 10.5 to go, and that is the final timeout for Steve Fisher.
Man, oh man. Again, they set the high ball screen, and Shepard kind of drifted into it, and they wanted to open the floor. The defense was there, but he just lifted up and knocked it in. And, you know, that's what you do. Cincinnati didn't really pick up. You see Shepard was out there trying. Good defense. And he just knocked it in.
Trey Kell was 4 of 23 shooting the 3 before knocking that one down.
Well, water finds its level. He was due. Now, all right, if you're Cincinnati, you've got to get this ball in. This has not been easy, and it hasn't been easy for this reason. San Diego State is very, very well versed at switching. So what I would expect Cincinnati to do is to work off the big guy, Ellis, whether it's Cobb or whether it's Johnson. They work off of him, and the last resort is to throw it up to Ellis. Johnson looking going deep here.
Sanders will call the final Cincinnati timeout.
Tell you what, Allen did a great job because Mick Cronin had a setup that he wanted. He had Johnson coming off of Ellis going deep for the home run, and Allen, who was just inserted into the game, totally avoided the screen, Bobby. If he would have gotten screened at all, if he would have played the screen with his hands, that would have been a layup on the other end. Really
now
good
you're
job.
out of timeouts.
Yeah.
So now what for Cincinnati?
Well,
if you have that 5 count winding down, what do you do?
You got to throw it up to the big guy, and that's not great because you don't want necessarily Ellis making a decision number 1 and shooting free throws number 2, but you got to do that, and you got to work off of Ellis. And again, Cincinnati's had a nice setup. They've kept the thing high, but what they haven't done is they haven't changed direction to go get the ball. All of their cuts have been straight. If you want to get open against quickness, you've got to take them one way and go the other. Cincinnati has not done that on these inbounds plays. They've just kind of gone into the switch.
No timeouts now for Jermaine Sanders. Has to get it in. Floats it to the corner. Copain tied up and fouled.
Yeah, that was pretty good. They ran a 2-man game with Copain and Cobb, and Copain was a screener. He just slipped out of it and was able to get the ball. Really nice move by Mick Cronin. He just got everybody else out of there. You see right here. Watch Copain go set the screen. They're above the free throw line. Everybody else out of there. It's going to be 2-on-2. Copain sets it, comes back. Really, really good move by Mick Cronin.
So the sophomore missing his only free throw in tonight's game, but their best free throw shooter by far at 85%. Still a 1-and-1. And he's got the first. No matter what, it's a 1-possession game.
Same thing here. You spread the court. You take a big guy, set a ball screen, open up the court.
Can't make it.
Now
It's a 2-point game. 8 seconds to go. Winston Shepard attacks, lost it, and a foul call.
Wow.
Joe DeRosa calls the foul. And that will put Shepard at the line with a chance to tie the game.
When the ball's on the side, nothing good happens. He did. They can say it's not a foul, but their feet get crossed up.
It's Kevin Johnson that was called for the foul.
Yeah, their feet get crossed up right there. That's a foul.
So Winston Shepard at 64% to start off the season, but 3 for 3 tonight with a chance to tie it. Gets the roll on the first.
Here's what you need to watch. Watch between Allen and O'Brien. Watch those two guys cross each other. Maybe Allen sets a screen on the bright block for O'Brien to get a rebound here.
He's got them both.
Didn't need it.
Quickly checking into the game is Skylar Spencer. No timeouts for Cincinnati. We are tied with 3.9 to go. A chance for the Bearcats to win it, or we might go to overtime.
Yeah, Steve Fisher going crazy with Quinn because he does not want Cobb to get the ball going towards the bucket. He wants Cobb to get it, if he gets it, going towards his own rim.
Instead, it's Copain for the win. Throws it up towards the backboard. No chance for it to go in, and we head to overtime. And it's still Mick Cronin arguing the foul call that put Winston Shepard on the line and got us to overtime. The crowd obviously disagrees with the call as well, but Dan, you saw it twice, and you instantaneously backed up the call made by Joe DeRosa.
You know what? When the feet come together and both guys are moving, you're going to see. Watch the bottom. Watch the feet. Right there. Left leg hits the right leg of Winston Shepard, and he falls down, and that's a foul. Yeah, Mick Cronin here not happy. He stood and stared at Joe DeRosa. Now you got to understand, Joe DeRosa used to ref in the NFL or in the NBA, so he's used to guys not being real happy, but they're much taller.
So now we go to overtime in a game that we emphasized this earlier. Really means a lot to Cincinnati. You know, as the season goes on, we talk about our journey to the tourney games. Games that 18 overtime games, including 9 straight overtime wins. What does that tell you about a team when you see numbers like that?
I'm telling you, it tells you have really good guard play, which they have had over the years. And Xavier Thames being a guy that a lot of people thought should have been at least in the conversation for first-team All-American. Then you have really good coaching, and you rebound. You rebound the ball well because so many of these games come down to a foul on a missed shot or a tip-in or a kick-out three after an offensive rebound. And that is why San Diego State's been as good as they are in these situations.
We talked about how important foul trouble could be if the game got to overtime. And the two guys that just jumped center, Skylar Spencer and Octavius Ellis, both have 4 fouls. And they both start overtime on the floor.
I think the reason they both start on the floor is because neither coach really cares if they foul out. I mean, last couple minutes you're going to shoot free throws. You know, you don't want those guys shooting free throws anyway.
Start overtime just like the game was played with the shot clock winding down. Copain, a little stutter step, rejected by O'Brien, but a foul call. And all of a sudden the crowd loves Joe DeRosa.
You know why that call was made? This isn't a foul. There's nothing about that is a foul. But Mick Cronin and the crowd got to Joe DeRosa and he called a foul. It wasn't a foul.
What an amazing number. When was the last time you had a game that either was close at the end of regulation or went to overtime, and we are now in overtime, where the team leading didn't have a player in double figures? Cincinnati still doesn't have a player to hit 10 points in the game, and yet they're winning in overtime.
Got to get in the middle of this. Somebody's got to sit down, get in the middle of this zone, and look opposite. There you go.
Kell for 3. He connects. All of a sudden, the Aztecs are knocking him down from outside.
That's 3 in a row, right? After going 2 for 17. Water finds its level.
At the wrong time for the Bearcats.
You're not kidding. You got to give Kell credit coming off. Hadn't made shots. Man.
We've been tied 12 times, and we've had 11 lead changes. 10 to shoot for Cincinnati. Ellis faces up. A deep jumper. He's got it.
Boy, that was really good by Ellis. Ellis faced up, took his time, and it was really good by San Diego State. They didn't go double him. They made the big guy hit a jumper, and he did.
To go in overtime. Shot clock down to 5. Neil Quinn. Floater goes in and out. And the rebound tapped out to Farad Cobb.
Cobb wanted Sanders to sprint the floor. He was looking to set him up for a 3, but Sanders didn't run.
For 3. Yes!
Oh, man!
And finally, the Bearcats have a player in double figures.